Would you support simply eliminating the debt ceiling so that we don't have to deal with this in the future and can focus on real crises?
Yes, I would, because I believe when Congress legislates expenditures and puts in place tax policy that determines taxes, those are the crucial decisions Congress is making.
That was Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen last week on why there should be no limit to debt or check on spending from Congress. If Biden signs it, that's good enough. Meanwhile, Speaker Nancy Pelosi called the House back early to vote on raising the country's borrowing limit to $29 trillion to pay for all of these programs that the Democrats want to spend money on, as Biden's DOJ goes after innocent Americans who are not in line with this administration's overreach. Joining me right now to react to all of this is House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. So tell me why you're back this week and what will happen in terms of raising the country's borrowing limit.
Well, we're back for exactly that clip because you need to raise the debt ceiling. But what's interesting to me is here's the Secretary of Treasury that has a credit card that's maxed out. Instead of finding a way to pay the credit card off, all they think should do is you shouldn't limit how much I can spend. That is what's put us in this problem. That is what has increased inflation that we haven't seen in decades. That is why we've got one of the worst jobless numbers that we've had in quite some time. This Biden plan is putting America on the wrong path. And so we have to come back in session to vote on the debt ceiling, to increase the amount, but this will not give the Democrats enough money to go for that $5 trillion bill of what they really want to do with reconciliation that will transform America to look like a European big government socialist government.
That's pretty extraordinary. So tell me about all of this spending. I know you won't be negotiating the reconciliation package. It's all about the debt ceiling this upcoming week. But we were just talking with John Barrasso about what's in it. Can you walk us through what strikes you most about this $3.5 trillion package?
There's a number of it. And let's not get just hung up on the cost because the cost is outrageous. But you watch what the Democrats are debating. They're going to come to you and say, well, we saved some money. They will not. It's the substance that's in the bill. If they put these programs into the bill, what they will be saying is it costs less. It does not. They're just dialing back how long they will fund it. It will continue to go on. If you're concerned about bank surveillance, if you have more than $600 in your bank account, government will now know what you do, whether you go to Disneyland, how you spend your money. And again, Secretary of Treasury Yellen supports that, and the Democrats support that. Why? Because they want to vote for 85,000 new IRS agents to spy on what you are doing instead of protecting the border. Then if you look from the other aspects, it has more than $100 billion for amnesty for 10 million people who came to America illegally. And we're watching that happen day after day on our borders, and I'm looking forward to you being down to the border reporting again. Then we're watching that inflation. It's going to make America less competitive. It's going to make American companies less competitive when you look at China or Europe. Our corporate rate will be higher than China. You're watching businesses go overseas instead of when we passed a tax decrease that companies came back to America. It's the reverse. Right. We're watching inflation that we've never seen before. Government competing with business. They take the child tax credit, but they take away the requirement for work requirements. So here's small business once again can't find people to work, and business and government is now competing with them. These are the problems.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that the requirements, because a big portion of the country will be eligible for all of this free money. The bank surveillance is part of this overreach of this administration. I want to take a break, Congressman. I want to ask you about the Department of Justice's overreach and reports that Nancy Pelosi is targeting you and your personal emails, your text messages from on and around January 6th. Is that legal for her to do this, to go to telecom companies to get information from you? We will talk about that when we come right back with Kevin McCarthy. Stay with us. Welcome back, and we are back with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, I want to ask you about all of these new mandates and this overreach from the Department of Justice. Parents across the country, governors across the country are complaining. Here's Ron DeSantis. AG Merrick Garland is ordering the FBI to target, intimidate, and silence parents who exercised their First Amendment rights at local school board meetings as the AG threatens to sic the FBI on parents who dare to oppose mandates on mask wearing, as well as the indoctrination of their children in critical race theory. What is going on?
This is just more of the Biden administration wanting greater control over our lives. Who would have ever thought that you'd have an American president make a decision to leave Americans behind in Afghanistan, now directing the DOJ to try to silence parents and actually separate parents from what their children can do inside schools? And why is this rising up? Because during the pandemic, children were going to school through Zoom. Parents were beginning to hear what was happening in the classroom. So they went to their local school board to question. And instead of making these answers or changing the course and not having critical race theory taught in our schools, the next thing the Biden administration does is tries to silence you, intimidate you. And what it really comes down to a philosophy. Who is best to raise your children, you or government? I believe the parents are. I want the decision-making process in my children's lives, and I believe that's what America believes. But now we have an administration that wants to control every part of your life, from what you do in your banking if you have more than $600, to now what you can even say at a school board race and question your First Amendment right and tell you that government has a better say over what your children can do in school. And we even have a Democrat running for governor in Virginia that literally said parents do not have a say in what's happening in the education of their children. Absurd.
Yeah, that's right. And Congressman, it's not just that on critical race theory. You mentioned the surveillance of our bank accounts, and now the Democrats want the social media companies to go along with all of this rulemaking. We understand that Nancy Pelosi wants your emails, you, Congressman Kevin McCarthy's emails, and your text messages on and around January 6th. Has she officially come to you and asked, or is she going to go directly to AT&T? How does that work?
No, I haven't heard anything from him. But remember, this is a select committee that is not a bipartisan committee. For the first time in history, Nancy Pelosi picked who could be on this committee. And what they're trying to do, they're missing the two main points. Why were we so ill-prepared on January 6th? And how do we make sure we'll never be in this position again? It's purely politics. And Congress does not have the right to go after mine or your phone number records. And the Supreme Court has made this ruling. It's interesting about how far they want to control and where they want to go. And even in the reconciliation bill, there's an interesting point in there. They provide $1.3 billion to subsidize their friends inside the media, where government will actually pay for the media and their reporting. This is a real concern and a change of a course of what America stands for.
Well, there's also something that we discussed recently, and that is about Google. The DOJ has asked Google to send them the people who search for certain phrases. And is Google participating in this? Tell me about that. This was very concerning when I understood what this was all about, that Google was actually going to provide phrases that we put in that search bar.
Yeah, you don't have to be concerned at home what you're doing. We know how Google tries to control our thoughts and what we can read on the basis that 90% of any search inside the internet goes through Google. But now the Biden administration's government is asking Google to tell them whoever searches certain phrases. I just read about this week. This is a real concern. But a big problem that we have is what Nancy Pelosi has done in Congress. She's desecrated this institution because now she's made it almost impossible for the minority to get documents from the Biden administration so we can hold them accountable, not just on this, but on Afghanistan as well. She now has proxy voting, where there are Democrats that have not shown up for work for months, but they still get their paycheck. She now fines members up to $5,000 if they just walk through the wrong door going to the chambers. She selects who can be on committee, never before in a Congress. She denied the minority the ability to even offer an amendment, something that hasn't done in the history of Congress. But now, why does she do that? She's a lame duck speaker. She's on a farewell tour. Where was she last month when the Democrats were working on reconciliation? The UK. Where is she today? She's back in Europe while they're supposed to be concerned about the debt ceiling. She's on her farewell tour, and that's why in the reconciliation bill, she put $200 million from our hardworking taxpayers for a park in her district.
Wow. Well, we reported last week that she was going to Italy. Yeah, she's there now. Real quick, it feels like they're willing to do anything to stay in power. We know that voting laws have changed in, I believe, 18 states. Do you feel that the GOP can take back the majority next year? Because clearly these policies are not winnable, but can they still win? Do you feel that enough has been done for a free and fair election for these congressional races in 2022?
Yeah, we are making great improvements, and as you say, 18 states. But we're also being able to stop H.R. 1, where the Democrats would have greater control of our election, of what we could actually say a speech czar, to make the Democrats have greater control when it comes to the Federal Election Commission. And these states is where the rules need to change. We need to clean the rolls up, like in Los Angeles. There's more than 1.2 million people on the rolls. That's more than who are old enough to actually register to vote there. And this is what the plan that Republicans in Congress have. But yes, we can win and we will win. And anybody there that wants to help us, just go to takethehouse.com, because we need to hold this Biden administration not only accountable, but secure our borders and get this, stop the inflation and get the economy moving again.
Well, the president of Panama has been warning there are more caravans on the way. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.